a man with a round face and an awkward posture. At the time, most Western observers and analysts shared the same opinion. North Korea's new leader had no political experience whatsoever, sparking concern over the country's future under his rule. However, this lack of experience turned out to be an advantage for Kim Jong-un. He used the West's underestimation of him to quietly reshape global perceptions of both North Korea and himself. Through brutal purges, he consolidated power. He prioritized military might, especially nuclear weapons, over economic development, aiming to become one of the most powerful nuclear forces in the world. Over the past decade, analysts say Kim Jong-un has carved out a unique leadership style, one that defies global norms. From executing high-ranking officials to launching missiles, his approach has blended ruthlessness with grand ambition. A striking example is the case of his uncle, Jang Song-thaek, once considered the second most powerful man in North Korea. Jang was vice chairman of the National Defense Commission and Kim's top advisor. But just 2 years after Kim took power, Jang was arrested and executed for corruption and treason. Hundreds of his close associates disappeared soon after. By erasing his uncle's image, Kim sent a clear message: no rival power centers would be tolerated. Beyond purges, Kim has left his mark through policy. While most countries prioritize economic growth, Kim and North Korea's leadership chose a different path: nuclear development and military strength. Since taking office, Kim has reportedly directed 4 nuclear tests and 106 ballistic missile launches, 10 times more than his predecessor. These missile tests are not only increasing in frequency but also in variety, including intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching U.S. territory, and short-range missiles aimed at South Korea and Japan. In terms of scale, North Korea's military is one of the largest in the world, with approximately 1.1 million active soldiers, about 5% of the population, and over 600,000 reservists. The U.S. State Department estimates North Korea spends an average of $4 billion annually on defense, about a quarter of its GDP, according to a 2021 report by the International Institute for Strategic Studies. Its forces include 550 combat aircraft, 290 helicopters, 400 warships, 70 submarines, 4.000 tanks, 2.500 armored vehicles, and 5.500 rocket launchers. These numbers underscore North Korea's massive military capability. The Korean Central News Agency even declared that under Kim Jong-un, the nation has reached an invincible level of power that the world cannot ignore. On the economic front, although less prioritized, there have been modest signs of progress during Kim's rule. Since 2013, North Korea's economy has grown by an estimated 1.24% annually. In 2016, GDP rose 3.9% to 32 trillion won, about $28.5 billion, its fastest growth since 1999. Trade figures since 1996 also show upward trends. According to recent CIA reports, North Korea's export categories have expanded to include minerals, metals, and weapons manufacturing. Imports largely consist of petroleum, coking coal, and machinery. The Bank of Korea reported annual export growth of 4 to 5% and import growth of 3 to 5%. Still, despite this progress, North Korea's economy lags far behind much of the developed world. Even Kim Jong-un himself has admitted economic policy failures. Yet, many credit him with helping the country recover from famine and assert global strength. Kim is also the first North Korean leader to engage in diplomatic efforts that caught the world's attention. His strides in nuclear development, despite heavy UN sanctions, gave him leverage in international talks. In April 2018, history was made when Kim crossed into South Korea for a summit with President Moon Jae-in, marking the first time a North Korean leader set foot in the South since the Korean War. This Panmunjom declaration opened the door to more diplomacy. In June 2018, all eyes turned to Singapore for the first ever U.S.-North Korea summit. Kim met with President Donald Trump, and both leaders pledged cooperation. Their second summit, held in Hanoi in early 2019, ended without agreement due to major differences. A third meeting followed in June 2019 but yielded no breakthrough. While negotiations stalled, Kim's international appearances were viewed as a major shift in North Korean diplomacy, some say even more significant than his father's. Despite these diplomatic moves, Kim and North Korea still face deep political challenges, particularly in denuclearization talks with the US and South Korea. In the past year alone, North Korea launched 70 ballistic missiles, including 8 intercontinental ones, some near Japanese territory. These provocations prompted large-scale joint military exercises by the US, Japan, and South Korea. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and the Secretary of Defense also visited South Korea to reaffirm their alliance, further fueling North Korea's resentment. On July 4, tensions spiked again, prompting North Korea to convene a military commission meeting and prepare for combat readiness. Clearly, peace on the Korean peninsula remains far from certain. South Korean media reports that while Seoul strongly opposes North Korean provocations and continues close cooperation with Washington, it also seeks peaceful engagement through direct and indirect dialogue and civil exchanges. But North Korea's goals differ. While the South aims for reunification and peace, Pyongyang and Kim himself seek to become a dominant nuclear power. In contrast to Vietnam's past, where both sides fought for national unity, the two Koreas now each pursue their own ambitions, making reunification even more elusive. So the question remains: can North Korea avoid conflict? Or will it risk everything to become a nuclear superpower? Whether Kim Jong-un continues to shock the world, or drags it toward war, only time will tell.